Clear prop. Welcome back to Wing It Airfield. Taking 77 Sierra for its first flight out of Wing It Airfield. It is a Saturday, mid-April 2026. The winds have calmed down after a day of burning brush and cleaning up some around the property. We said, let's go for an evening flight. So 77 Sierra is a 1964 Cessna 172E. It has a Continental 0300 engine. That is a 6-cylinder engine with 145 horsepower. This airplane has lived its life in the Oklahoma and north central Texas area. I have the documents of ownership back to the original owner who bought it from a Cessna dealer. Prior to, I'm not sure what year it started, but the older airplanes, Cessna would not sell direct to the buyer. You had to go through a dealer network. Now you can actually buy these direct from Textron Aviation, and you can take delivery of them at the Independence, Kansas facility. So 1964 172E. First owner was a group of 5 individuals in western Oklahoma, and it stayed out there for a number of years. And in the 70s it went down to south of Fort Worth, Dallas area. There were a couple of owners in that area. Right here I'm doing a magneto run-up. So fun fact for those who don't know aren't familiar with aircraft engines, they do not require an electrical system. They run off of magnetos. The electrical system is for your avionics and lights, but you can lose all electric and the engine will keep operating. One last check. I set the flaps at 10 degrees, getting ready to roll. The engine is 145 horsepower. Did a quick check of the oil temperature. There's Bella. She is tired. She was outside all day. She likes to fly though. She got excited when we were going to fly. So I took my time doing a pre-flight on this. This is the first flight out of this airfield. This is only the 3rd flight in this airplane, so I took my time meticulously going through. Gave the engine some time to warm up before we're full throttle, and we're going to roll. Runway is a little rough. Wind is slightly out of the southwest, and right by this dead tree we will be airborne. Flaps are at 10 degrees. And flying over, this is US 400 at the south end. So the property we own prior to US 400 being put there came down to about this area we're flying over now. It was a much deeper property back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Little smoke off to the west, off the right wing there. Field burning. You'll see some more once we turn. Through the years, this aircraft has seen multiple modifications. It had a LORAN navigation system in there, and that had been removed. There is an ADF in there now. Doing a turn to the east. Just a shallow, easy Saturday evening flight. The ADF installed, they're There are a few antennas throughout the U.S. There aren't very many. The biggest thing it can be used for now is listening to AM radio. It does have a older McClellan GPS unit installed. It's a Skyview system. The last database card was updated in 1999. That McClellan GPS is no longer supported, so it is essentially a paperweight in the airplane. It still operates, but with an old database, it's not very accurate. Here I'm pointing to, there is another airfield out here, 77KS, not too far from us. So, Wing It Airfield, when I registered it, the FAA requested that we have the pattern to the west, and that would provide separation from this airfield here. So, a little history on Wing It Airfield. It was Air Park Estates many years ago. The last active registration I saw was around the 2010 time frame. The previous owner of our property was into real estate and auctioning, and he had a 172 located there, and they would fly out and look at property. The registration expired. There's actually two airports. There's the airstrip that we have, and then the neighbors to our west had an airstrip, and they would operate out of both of those. Previous owner of our property, he was very big into skeet and trap shooting, so he would do fly-ins and they would shoot clay pigeons. A gentleman stopped by shortly after we purchased the property, and he landed and chatted with us and said, yeah, they used to fly in. You'd see 20 airplanes out in the field. Maybe in the future we'll do some fly-ins. So you see the smoke that's out here that we're flying over, these fields that are being burned. Here in Kansas, the pasture land, there's Bella taking a peek out the window. The pasture lands get burned off every 3 to 5 years, depending on how they're growing. What they're doing is they're burning off the invasive weeds, and particularly the cedar trees. All the little trees you see scattered around in the fields next to that burnt field, those are most likely cedar trees. They're very invasive. They're a noxious weed. It is very tough to control them. So the fields get burned off, and we're just on the western edge of the Flint Hills. This lake coming up, this is El Dorado Lake. That's the correct pronunciation, El Dorado. So pay attention once this wing strut passes over the lake. Take a look down in the corner there. You might see, I'm calling it a UFO. Something was flying south. Unsure if it was an airplane or something, but it's kind of got a green hue to it. It'll pass right here. There it goes. Saw a little reflection. It's not a boat in the water, because it was actually moving south. This is El Dorado Lake. It is a man-made reservoir. Lots of camping sites. Very good fishing out here. A little bit further north, you will see in the picture a lot of the old trees that are sticking up out of the water. So we're going to go north a little bit, then we're going to turn west across the lake. So a little more upgrades on this aircraft, on 77 Sierra. There is a STC, which is a supplemental type certificate for EGT monitor. It's a single gauge, so only reading a single cylinder. Future upgrade could include a more elaborate engine monitor that would provide cylinder head temperature and exhaust gas temperature, which makes it much easier for fuel management. So you can lean the engine out and burn less fuel without getting too hot. These air-cooled aircraft engines require airflow and fuel flow for cooling. without getting into the nuances of rich of peak, lean of peak, fuel is used as it provides a cooling action. If you go too lean, the engine can get hot. There's a point where you go beyond lean and it starts cooling down again. So down in the lake, you can see all the old trees sticking up from when this reservoir was flooded. The 0300 engine in this aircraft also has a spin-on oil filter. It has had the original magnetos replaced and has a different upgraded flange for the starter. This past week I did get upgraded supplemental type certificates for auto fuel that comes from EAA, which is Experimental Aircraft Association. They have unleaded fuel STCs available for aircraft. This aircraft did have it on there already from the early 70s, and EAA has updated information and placards to place next to the fuel filler on top of the wings. And there's Bella, she's done. She's like, I'm done, guys, it's nap time. Sometime in the mid 70s, this aircraft, when it was down in Texas, went through, a storm moved through and a hangar came down on it. It didn't do any major structural damage, but it dented the wing skins. So a couple of ribs and the wing skins on the left and right wing were replaced. The damage wasn't severe enough to break anything, just dented up enough. It wasn't destroyed. The vertical had the cap replaced, which is fiberglass, but no structure replaced on it. As we cross going west, there'll be a view out the back window a little bit. It's got some grazing on it, pretty typical of these old windows. And you'll notice the airplane does some rocking. So right now we're over top of the lake, so the air is cool and it's calm. But as we start entering into the land portion, it gets a little turbulent as the heat rising up off of the land will rock the wings a little bit. Here's a look out the back. And right there's a little turbulence. The passenger door on this aircraft, it was also configured in the mid 70s to be easily removed for skydiving operations. So there are pins that are quick release, and this airplane's authorized to fly without the passenger door installed. They called it a jump door or a parachuting door. Any future upgrades we'll do this airplane would be lighting, to go to LED lighting to reduce electrical load. Knots to U has a pretty good wingtip light modification that you can actually put the wig-wag lights on. The recognition lights make it much easier for other traffic to see you. And coming back to Wingate Airfield, turning base to final after flying an approach. Looking out the window, make sure I turn at the right time. Put a second notch of flaps in. We're at 20 degrees flaps now. And turning final. There's full flaps. I'm going to follow this hedgerow down. Airfield is just to the right of the hedgerow, past the clump of trees. That's going to be those trees are going to be around the houses. And the light strip in the field ahead, that's the runway. I'm going to give it a little boost of power here. We have power lines. There's the hangar. Clear of the power lines, hangar and trees. Power off, nose down. Round out. Bleed the air off, nose up, stall horn right above the turf, and touchdown. Keep the yoke back to keep the weight off the nose, and here I'm going to say no brakes, just letting it roll out. We have 2,000 feet of runway here, officially on the sectional. I think I have it listed as 1,900, but it's about 2,000 foot of runway, so plenty for turf for 172 just to roll out. There's no need to hit the brakes at all. And what's nice about having a hayfield is you can turn around anywhere. No ground control to talk to for taxi instructions, just go back to the hangar. And across the rough yard, you're going to pull it up onto the concrete to shut her down. Stopping on the concrete makes it much easier to push back in the hangar than out on the grass having to get up onto the concrete. And there's about 2 feet of space if I'm at the end of the concrete and the wings to the doors. Lights off, throttles back. So to stop airplane engines, you pull the mixture all the way back. And there it is. And then the key off. Thanks for watching.